I used to think self-awareness was the ultimate sign of healing, until I realized it was actually keeping me trapped. When I was in my 20s, I realized self-awareness was kind of like a double-edged sword. I love the beauty of the mind, the ability to paint the world with whatever I thought it to be. I intentionally worked to see the beauty in everything in life. The random little flower I saw on my way somewhere, or the same mundane but calming repetitiveness of daily life. It was all deep and beautiful to me. But at the same time, I also saw all the pain. I saw the pain I would accidentally cause people, or the pain other people caused one another without meaning to. I saw the imperfections in everything I did, and how even the tiniest, most negligible actions could impact someone else's life in a way I couldn't anticipate. And that scared me a lot. So I lived in that world of hyper self-awareness, enjoying the wonders of a beautiful mind, but also living with a mind that saw every single flaw, every mistake, and every bit of pain. And for a long time, I thought this was just the price you pay for being self-aware. But then I realized something that changed everything for me. I realized self-awareness isn't actually a double-edged sword at all. What I was experiencing wasn't true self-awareness. It was a trap. So in this video, I want to talk about the self-awareness trap, what it is, why so many of us get stuck in our heads analyzing our traumas instead of actually healing it, and how learning to unconditionally love myself finally made my mind a peaceful place to live again. So what does the self-awareness trap actually look like in everyday life? It's that state where you know everything about yourself. You know your personality type, you can name your childhood wounds, you know why you self-sabotage yourself over and over again in life. But despite knowing all of this, you still feel stuck. You still feel that heavy anxiety in your chest. You find yourself repeating the same painful emotional cycles. And then you start getting frustrated with yourself. You think, I know better than this. I've done so much work on knowing myself, so why am I still acting like this? This happens because we confuse analyzing ourselves with healing ourselves. When we spend all of our time observing our flaws and analyzing our behavior, but we don't know how to hold space for what we're finding, self-awareness turns into self-surveillance. You essentially become a detective in your own life, constantly looking for what's wrong with you, waiting for the next mistake, and over time, this becomes exhausting. So why do we do this? I believe it happens because early on in life, when we made mistakes or showed sides of ourselves that weren't accepted, we felt the pain of being judged or misunderstood. So our minds learned to use self-awareness as a defense mechanism. We thought, if I can see all of my flaws first, if I can catch my mistakes before anyone else does, I can keep myself safe. So self-awareness became a tool, a way to constantly put ourselves in this mode of self-judgment. And judgment can sound like a negative word, but to me, judgment is simply what happens when you split yourself into two. You become the observer, watching your avatar move through this game called life. You just want your avatar to do well, so you try to guide it as best as you can. You're constantly sitting back and telling yourself, is this direction better for me? What is my avatar doing right or wrong? What can it improve on? However, when you live in that mode all the time, it becomes exhausting because you're not actually one with your avatar self. You're not in your body, having fun and experiencing life. You're living as a separate self, constantly managing, analyzing, and critiquing your life from a distance, instead of actually living it. And that's something I had to realize. The pain doesn't come from being self-aware. The pain comes from the judgment you stack on top of that awareness. So how do we break out of this self-awareness trap? How do we make our minds a quiet, safe place to live again? Well, healing doesn't mean eliminating your flawed or fearful sides so you can only be this perfectly peaceful, healed version of yourself. Real healing just means you stop turning against yourself when those flawed parts show up. Instead of trying to force yourself to feel positive or trying to figure out why you feel bad, you just gently allow two truths to exist at the same time. This is the art of mastering self-acceptance. Because you can't analyze your way into peace. Because peace doesn't live in the analytical mind. It lives in that mode of acceptance. And when you learn how to unconditionally love both sides of who you are, the good and the bad, you merge back and become one with who you truly are. You become whole, and that is where true peace lives, I believe. So when you catch yourself spiraling, analyzing, or judging yourself for making a mistake, just pause. Drop out of your thoughts and try saying to yourself, in your mind, I see and accept the self that is good. It's okay to be the good version of myself. I accept the me that is self-aware and wise. And then conversely say to yourself, I see and accept the self that is bad. It's okay to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and have flaws. Even if I judge myself as bad, I accept myself just as I am now. And whatever feeling comes up when you say that, whether it be a wave of sadness, relief, or pushback from yourself, just sit with it. Give that anxious or flawed version of yourself a hug in your mind's eye. And when we accept both sides of oneself, the good and the bad, that is what it means to unconditionally love yourself. And this is, I believe, what heals us in the end. When you start practicing this, when you stop using awareness to judge yourself and start using it to accept yourself, this is when life truly shifts. First, you stop being so terrified of making mistakes. You realize that even if you mess up or say the wrong thing, you don't have to punish yourself for it. You can take responsibility, learn, and still hold love for yourself. Second, your mind finally gets quiet. You spend far less energy overthinking the past or worrying about the future because you're no longer trying to manage every single thought or every single thing you should do in the future or should have done in the past. None of that matters anymore. And third, you gain this power of being able to use your mind as a tool of awareness and love while being able to live in this present moment. Like it feels like you can go back and forth, fully merged with the present, but also when something goes down or you have a tough moment in your life, you can hold space for yourself and others in a loving way. And this is to me what true self-awareness and wisdom is about, because self-awareness is a gift. But for a long time, I couldn't see it that way because I had to solve every problem in my mind before I could be fully healed, whole, or complete. But that life, that version of you doesn't come from solving yourself like a puzzle. It comes from realizing it's okay to just be a human being, flaws and all. And you know, it's still something I'm practicing every single day. There are still moments where I catch myself analyzing or being a little too hard on myself. But now when that happens, I just notice it and I give that analytical version of myself a hug. It's all a process and it's okay to be right where you are in this journey of life. I'd love to know in the comments section, do you ever feel like you're too self-aware? And how does this show up in your life? But yeah, that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye!